Okay, got it. Okay, once more. Hey guys, gals, friends, and pals. Paul Acevedo from Windows Central, joined on the mic by my friend Tyler and special guest co-host Danielle Lovell.
Hello.
Good
So,
evening.
what do you do at Over the Moon Games, Danielle?
So I am my official title is community manager, but I'm also I like to say helpful fiance. So the studio head and founder is John Warner, and he's my fiance. And so um, I do a lot. So accounting, bookkeeping, a lot of the social media and outreach, and lots of other things too. I did a bunch of the QA testing for the game.
Ooh.
So pretty much whatever when he's like, "What could you?" And I'm like,
Sounds
"Yeah."
like a nice cooperative relationship there.
Yeah, it's really fun.
So I think the text is a little messed up on my screen. Is it supposed to be that way? Oh.
Hmm. Yeah, so one of the inspirations, especially for these loading screens, was in the beginning of Aliens. It's either Alien or Aliens, but the like 1980s, 1970s GUI that's really broken and but also futuristic.
Well, yeah, it does remind me of that now that you mention it.
Hmm. Hmm.
All
Yeah.
right.
And this is also it's like a faceplate for someone or something. So someone Lightspeed Halo asks, is the Fall 2 coming to consoles? Yes. So we'll get more into that as we go. But the Fall is going to come to all the platforms that it was released on originally, which for those who might not know are Xbox, PS4, um, PC, Mac, Linux, and the Wii U as well.
Ooh, the Wii U.
Awesome. A
Yeah.
Wii U, even a Wii U
Yeah,
game.
do you mind if we ask, did the Wii U version sell okay?
Yeah, it did great. I mean, Wii U installs versus other console installs are different proportionally, but we were really pleased with how it did, and the third party team at Nintendo has been awesome. So we really appreciated that, and some of our really good indie studio friends that we keep tabs with and keep in touch with um, as we work on our next game. We met at a conference that we went to with Nintendo.
Nintendo goes to conferences?
Yeah, to Indiecade in 2014. So they took a booth of all the people who were just coming out or just about to come out on the Wii U. And we were there with the guys from Yacht Club who made Shovel Knight
Awesome.
and the guys from 13 AM Games who made Runbow, um, some of the guys from Freema who made Chariot, and we've stayed tight, which is nice.
Freemo's been really nice to us in the past as well.
Really like those guys a lot.
HH Tactics asks if this is coming to 3DO. Yeah, it
3DO.
was the first 32-bit console, a little bit before the Sony PlayStation. It's not very
Oh,
well known.
I don't know if we're gonna come to that
Oh,
one.
poor 3DO. No one ever did show it any love.
Yeah, Commodore 64, probably also not on our
Ooh.
release schedule.
So we've just seen the introduction, a really stirring introduction. It gets you interested. Can you tell us what's happening?
Well, as the game opens, Arid is crash landing. This is Arid, who you're now meeting.
Uh-oh.
She's crash landed, and we're not sure why and not sure what's caused her to be in this state. So,
Fair enough. And that fall we just saw, that would be the titular fall, right? That's what the game is named after.
yes, indeed.
Does it have more than one meaning, though?
Both,
I guess I could kind of see another meaning.
yeah, I'd say it's a physical, metaphorical, all sorts of different layers.
Ooh. So now I'm walking around in my spacesuit, some fireflies and stuff. I think that's the wrong way to go, though. I should go to the right. So what kind of games were influences on this particular title?
So some of the main influences were Limbo, which you may see in the art style. Yeah, Dark Six mentions that in the chat. So the
Whoa.
shadowy 2D art style of Limbo. And I'm just looking over my shoulder to John, so he's popping in and out. As I mentioned to you guys, I may have mentioned to everyone in the chat, the studio is our second bedroom in our apartment. So I'm in our living room right now.
I'm actually free. Should I play?
What do you say?
I'm actually free.
Oh, you want to?
No, I'm not doing anything else.
Okay. John just asked me if you should join.
Absolutely.
So,
Hi, John.
Celebrity duo, everyone.
Oh, nice. We just sit down next to one another.
Yeah, we're on video. Yeah, come cuddle up. Okay, sorry I got distracted, guys. So,
Hey!
Hello, John.
The whole what's cracking?
Hey, John.
Press the menu button.
So we're on. I just want to catch him up, everyone. So we're on Skype on video.
Okay.
And what we're seeing on the screen is a bit delayed. So
I see.
It's a bit of a funny experience right now. So, for everyone in the chat, so Swapper actually was in development at the same time as us, and we didn't see it when John was working on it. So we.
Yeah, there was a few games like that had a really similar style.
Tyler, you played the Swapper?
Yeah, I did play the Swapper. It does have a very similar style, huh? In regards to the visual style.
Would you start getting a lot of echo for some reason? Did you do anything different with your sound?
Yes. 1 second. Okay.
Oh, I can't network at all. That's right. Try talking.
Okay, how's the sound now?
Oh, that's better.
Okay,
Sounds
wonderful.
good to me.
Yeah,
Great.
so
Sorry about that, guys.
I had
Yeah,
disconnected my headset.
Rankcrest says he likes this game better than the Swapper, so there you go.
Ah, we're flattered.
See,
I think we both scratch a like dark, atmospheric puzzle itch, but in different ways.
Yeah, this is the kind of game that Danielle and I will play. Like on our, sometimes we do like a nerd date night and sit around and play like an adventure game together. So this is basically more or less the exact game that we'd like to buy. So I figured I'd make it.
That's pretty cool.
So let me ask you something. We know you're working on a sequel to this. Do you think the user interface will be a little more honed, or will it be the same?
Yeah, great question. So we're in the middle of playing with that now. There's a few things that we're trying for sure. One of them is we're experimenting with different ways of implementing combat to make it a little bit more meaningful and interesting. So that'll actually free us up a little bit to kind of make the controls a little easier. The side view searching around, I like the twin stick thing because it kind of allows you to move and look at the same time. And of course, if you're going to do that, then both your thumbs are busy. So, your index finger, that means the bumper. But I think there are probably other options. It's a difficult problem, but there are certain things that we're playing with. So I don't think it'll be that different, but I think it'll be better for sure.
You know what I'd like? The right bumper thing. It takes some getting used to. But just what I would like is if I was right next to something, like, I don't know, if I could just push a single button to interact with it.
Totally.
I understand when we're pointing the gun at something how you might need it to be something else, but...
Yeah, cheers. And I think there's other, like, some modes we could play with. Like, for example, if you could just take the weapon out all the time and then, use the stick and she could just kind of aim around and it would stay there, and then you could hit the buttons on the front of the controller. That people might find that really easy, right? So
that's good to hear. So
a viewer named Valiant Cheese says that they helped out on the game a tiny bit.
Oh yeah, there he is. Oh yeah, hey, I ditched my Steam chat. Sorry, buddy. That's funny. Yeah, Cheese is awesome. He's like our contact to the Linux community.
Yeah, we were actually able to meet up with him in person when we were in Australia visiting my family. So it's been nice. Cheese has been a super great support.
Wow, your family does get around, don't they?
Yes, yeah, the oil industry gets you moving. So my parents live, or my dad and my stepmom live in Melbourne, Australia. Melbourne.
That is how they say it, isn't it? The letter R, what's that?
That was crazy.
So I see inverted access. I'm not sure if you were asking what Cheese did on the game, or if what all of us.
That's actually my account.
Oh,
Sneaky
okay,
Tyler.
But yeah, I was asking
He's
him
so
about
sneaky.
Yeah, Cheese
That's
has been awesome with the Linux community and also with our Steam forums. He many a time will get to answering questions from people before I do.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
So right here, should I go under the elevator first, or is there something else I need to do before I do that?
I saw that. So you have the micro wrench.
And, so we're right at the beginning here.
Yeah, we just started. You might need
the
a
arm.
Hand. Yeah, you might need a hand.
So you're the idea
back over to the right.
The opening of the game is actually a little bit more open than I'd like, and already with the sequel, we're giving, we're directing the player much more strongly out of the gate, which I think is working very well. But anyway, for the Fall Part 1, certainly, you need a key card to get up in the top left, and if you look around, you can find that it's actually over on the far right of the screen, but you can't quite reach it, so you need something to reach it with.
Oh, so now that I got the arm, I should go over there? All right.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I've completed the whole game. I'm just rusty. It's been a little while.
Yeah, it's all
It's
good.
hard to play games on stream too.
Yeah. Are you playing on Xbox?
Yes,
One?
Xbox One. That's right.
Oh, good. Good to see it's running well.
Every now and then I get kind of like a frame rate hitch. I don't know if it's my system or the game. Like.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
We haven't had a lot of trouble on consoles with frame rates.
I haven't run into. Not that I'm aware of.
We haven't seen people mentioning it a lot. So
probably just my system.
Hopefully not. Hopefully that it's your system.
It's always just general terror when you bring a game to the console, because if there's a problem, it's so much harder to patch, right? So this is brutal paranoia at the bottom of my soul.
Have you had to release any patches for this version at all?
Actually, no, not for the Xbox. That's been perfectly fine. But we had several months of, shall we say, trial and error with the PC.
Yeah, early days. So we launched originally in May of 2014, and the first couple weeks were patch and release.
I don't remember. Did the console and PC release, was that all at the same time, or did you stagger it?
Staggered.
Oh, definitely staggered. Yeah.
Staggered.
Yeah. Okay.
For a part 2, we're hoping to do all at the same time.
Cool.
If we can manage.
I saw. I lost who said it, but someone asked what the inspiration for making the Fall was. I lost what their name was. Do you want to talk about your inspiration for making the game?
You were inspired by the movie The Fall, right?
Yeah, right.
And the Scottish, maybe it's a Scottish band. Their music so inspiring.
Yeah, and I'm sure the comic book and the novella and all. We don't have an original name, is the point. So inspiration-wise, sorry, what?
Should we stop for this section, or should we?
Oh, well, there's a huge delay already, so we're already speaking over it. But
don't worry.
Cool. So I've been, kind of a game nerd for a long time, and basically the main inspiration for the Fall, aside from just starting with wanting to make pretty pictures and stuff like that, was I've always been really interested in narrative design in games, and specifically how I could make challenges and interesting gameplay for the player that was relevant to the narrative. So with the Fall, a lot of the puzzles, at least this was the intention, a lot of the puzzles are kind of based around your provided rules or obstacles, like limitations that aren't really fair, or there's no obvious way to solve the puzzle, and you've kind of got to break rules and kind of work outside the boundaries and limitations that are given to the protagonist. And then the story is kind of about rigidity and dogma and all that kind of stuff. So it was my attempt to sort of play with some of those ideas and hopefully make it so that as the players are actually solving puzzles, they have a feeling experience of something, so that when the narrative comes in and does its thing, it'll all kind of work together. That was the goal. Anyway.
I would say you succeeded.
Ambitious.
Yeah, no. I mean, he's talking about that's everything they did. It's really cool to hear it put to words.
Yeah.
Oh wow, that's so good to hear. It's it's a huge goal. So for nobody to be like, oh no.
I should point out real quick that the way the unlocks work in this is kind of Metroidvania-like, but the gating for them is that you can only get these new powers when the system deems that they're needed to protect the person inside the suit, right?
Totally
Yeah,
right.
so that's we've just unlocked the network interface, because without it, then the pilot would be killed.
Yep.
Mm.
It was Famicorp who asked the question before. I see a question from Burger Thing. What are your favorite indie games?
Oh wow, good question.
I love Papers, Please.
Oh, Papers, Please is amazing.
It's my one of my favorites.
Who
So
doesn't
I,
love Papers, Please?
in my day job, do a lot of immigration work, and so
Oh yeah.
I love Papers, Please.
Yeah, Danielle is like pro. She just
I'm really
burned
good
through
at
the
it.
game. Didn't encounter a single problem.
Yeah, I always get the total win condition. I know it's supposed to share a lot of stuff about dystopia, but I never get that condition because I'm really good at it. So
Neat. I've never actually gotten to play that. I've read about it, but never had the chance to play it yet.
I watched Brian stream it, and I mean, it's definitely like one of those games that kind of is like a chore of a game to play, but like a fun chore, if that makes sense. Like you literally sit there and you're like approving or denying visas as they like walk through. Like someone probably does that in real life, but it seemed pretty fun. Like there was a lot of goofy stuff, like Brian missed an expiration date, and so he got yelled at or something, because the pass was expired. We let someone through, and then I saw someone else like sneak over the fence and stuff. It's just like a really weird idea for a game, but it did look fun.
I love it. It's like a funny gamification of some of my daily life.
Wow.
And so I was like, oh, I'm really good at this.
It doesn't sound like something that would be fun. It sounds like a boring nightmare, to be honest. If you were to, like, that had to be an indie game. There's no way you could pitch that idea to a publisher.
I think I came down here too early to go back up and get the blood.
Oh, you might have, yeah.
Someone is asking if there's chances of a Vita version. So we looked at doing that, but
We did, actually, as a matter of fact. I don't know what I should say, because it sounds like well, okay, I'll say it in a way that puts the fall down, not the Vita down. It didn't run very well, and I think that part of the reason is that the way I built the fall was I could say loose. You know, I wasn't extremely, fascist with optimization. So I think getting it on the Vita, getting it running at a reasonable frame rate would require such a profound rework from the ground up that it just made more sense to work on part 2 instead.
That's definitely not the first time I've heard that from
really?
smaller developers. Well, I mean, the two that pop into my mind, one is Bastion from Supergiant.
Oh yeah, right.
That, was announced for Vita and came out 9 months later, something like that. The other one is Axiom Verge, which came out the same time as Bastion, and the Vita version's still not out. I mean, it's clearly an entire different process, and I'm guessing both those developers probably had to just rebuild it from the ground up. There's really no reason it would take that long unless it was major issues getting it running smoothly.
right.
Yeah, I'm sure I'm not the only one.
Oh, and Broforce is another one that's coming out this month for PlayStation 4, but they canceled the Vita version entirely after announcing it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Vita a lot, but internally programming for it, there might be a bit of an issue. I don't know.
Very
I don't
interesting.
know the first thing about that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, as a developer, I don't know too much more than you. I mean, most Unity developers are probably, I would imagine, a lot like me, where we're not, profoundly technically savvy people. I'm somewhat technical adversary, or else I wouldn't be able to make this. But in terms of understanding on a fundamental level how the hardware works or how to program for it, if I'm working with Unity and I can't get Unity to run at a reasonable frame rate, there's only so many ways I can poke and prod it in order to get it to do what I want.
Gotcha.
So, probably other people are in the same boat.
Yeah, I would think definitely it's probably the exact same thing.
Can't you just simplify the graphics in a situation like that, or no?
So yes, and it depends. I mean, there's different different platforms basically have different strengths for different sorts of things. So for a while I think phones, I mean, it's been a couple of years since I worked mobile, but I know that for a while it was polygon bound, you couldn't have a lot of polys, but it was okay to have a lot of textures and this, that, and the other thing. So it kind of depends on how you're working with. The fall is kind of a mishmash of a lot of different things. So because most of the art is really quite simple. Like a lot of the stuff on screen right now is just basically two-dimensional shapes that recede into the background. I have a bunch of real-time lights, so that when you use your flashlight and aim down at the ground, it lights up the little lip of the ground. But real-time lights can be extraordinarily expensive depending on what platform you're running on. So if, for example, I go on a mobile platform and it's like, oh, you really shouldn't be using real-time lights, that means that basically, I need to find it. Like the whole art style is completely and totally decimated. So I need to rethink the whole experience almost.
Fascinating.
Wow.
By the way,
Yeah.
something I've just done, we discovered that the person hanging on this cross is dead. It's another person in a suit just like this, so that's an interesting mystery. And also I was able to use the pan that I found to put I caught blood in it, and then I'm going to use that in a subsequent puzzle. Just so everybody at home knows.
Yeah,
I think Swizzlers was asking, and it's a pretty apt question for Windows Central. But is there any plans for I guess the sequel being on the Windows 10 store? Is that what it's called?
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, we're thinking about porting the Fall to the Windows 10 store now-ish. I'm kind of balancing, supporting the Fall 1 with working on the Fall 2, and every once in a while I still patch. Cheese has actually been on my case to be working on a Linux patch actually. So it definitely we want to support as many platforms as we can.
I saw a question earlier in the chat about our voice actors. So we hired voice actors in Vancouver. So they're I'm going to blank now on all their names, but they're local Vancouver actors.
Alison Kumar is the voice of
Sean McQuillan, Alejandro
Cool.
Pacheco. Yeah. And
anybody's heard of anyway.
No, they're
we could lie for that matter.
Yeah. And Johnny Depp. We do have an IMDb page, so I have forgotten someone. Lee Majuk?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, Lee.
And actually, as a matter of fact, it was Bruce Willis played the voice of Aerith.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Johnny Depp probably would have turned you down because he doesn't get to wear a silly hat. Those are the only jobs he takes.
Yeah, right, exactly.
But yeah, they were all wonderful developers. And the writer of The Fall also did all the voice direction, so he's a really good friend of ours.
Yeah, and he's a good actor too. So I'm so lucky to have him with us. I'm quite proud of the voice direction in The Fall, and I can say that without being too conceited because I'm not as responsible for it as he is. Like if it wasn't for him, it'd be a lot worse.
Did I not pick up the gun up there? Was I supposed to manually pick it up or something?
So you're actually right on the case. So you put the blood down, and so now if you walk away, he comes out to eat it. And then if while he's out there eating the blood, you can network with the gun.
That's it. Okay, yeah.
Something happens.
All right.
I was going to say, I think it's cool that you guys hired actors and had, professionals be able to do the recordings. It just gives games such a more professional looking feel than I've definitely played indie games where it was probably one of the developers who did the voices for it, and it can kind of stand out like a sore thumb at times.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not going to get a good actor, just let me read the dialogue and do my own inside my head.
Just do it with text.
It'll just make it worse.
Yeah, early on, we used our voices as placeholders in some areas.
That's right. Yeah.
And we are not professional actors.
No, we're not.
It sounds like it'd be the easiest thing that anyone could just record lines of dialogue, but it's not nearly as simple as you'd expect it to be.
It takes people out of the game if it's not done well.
Exactly, it completely pulls you out of the game.
I have a cameo.
It reminds you that it's a video game and that it has a poorly voiced actor.
Cameo, you say?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I have a cameo in a
Danielle's in it.
instructional video later.
Nice.
Yeah, and even though Danielle did a very good job, we recorded about 80 takes, and it got to the point where we almost choked one another by the time we finally got the recording done.
We had to have a little timeout.
Left bumper to enter cover. Okay. Wrong direction. Use cover wisely. Yeah, so we've just picked up a gun, and now I'm learning about combat.
Oh, cool. Zero on Twitch says professional voice actor with a bit part in Sonic 2.
Oh, nice. It's awesome.
That's awesome.
He's a liar.
He's a huge liar.
Oh, he's a liar?
Zero.
Oh no!
Yeah.
He's a good sarcastic liar, but
Yeah. Be nice to the guests.
I can't tell sarcasm from text.
That's funny.
Oh, a really interesting combat
He
glitch
does
here.
actually have a cool voice. He's a very, very frequent streamer anymore. I enjoy watching his
Yep, I'm gonna
streams.
die. No, I made it. I'm just brute
Nice.
forcing my way through this. Oh. No.
Good, man.
Oh, yeah, okay. Still died. I need to learn to duck.
The combat is actually from an old Super Nintendo game called Blackthorn. Actually, I think it was on
No,
PC
didn't
as well.
Activision do that?
It was Blizzard,
well,
believe it or not.
Yeah, Blizzard, Activision.
Right,
I
yes,
think
indeed.
it was Blizzard before they were part of Activision.
Before.
Yeah, back when they were, God knows how small.
Definitely.
Man, watching this again, it's amazing. I mean, this story doesn't even really get kicking until you're out of the cave. It's something that we're making a big change with in part 2. We want to get it so that the main plot is basically very clearly established, like right out of the gate.
That's a good idea. You know, I don't mind this slow burn on this, but I think for general audiences, it's better to start up faster.
Yeah.
I think Fatality.
I tend to agree.
I don't know if I'm going to read out everyone's names anymore, but is asking if the Fall 2 will have DLC.
DLC. Good question. I would say almost certainly not, because we do narrative-driven stuff. I'm a big proponent of really well-defined plots. So I really wouldn't want to, you know, I want each game to stand by itself in that way. So I couldn't imagine doing DLC in a way that was, you know, that didn't make the experience weaker.
Yeah, because it's so story-focused, right?
Yeah. Also, a question, the game has an 80s DOS look to it. Was that intentional? Yeah, totally intentional. We started referencing Alien. I love the art style in the old Alien movie back in 1979 because it just has this kind of gritty, rough, dirty look to it that, you know, doesn't really make any sense that, you know, spaceships in the future would be, you know, running DOS or whatever it is. It's kind of crazy, but I kind of like that aesthetic. It made the world a little bit not safe or not pleasant. So when you're in combat, you might find it easier if you wait for them to attack and then pop out and shoot.
That's a good idea. I think, like, I'm not pushing the trigger right or something. Like, how am I supposed to... How does the firing work?
It does have a little bit of a charge.
Yeah, so we actually added the charge mechanic to encourage people to stay in cover until the enemies have finished shooting. So you have to hold the trigger, and then it'll charge up and discharge basically. We've actually decided to scrap this mechanic entirely for part 2. Some people had a really hard time aiming, which we don't blame them at all, and I think there's just more interesting things we could do with the combat. So.
Royal Bob said sometimes he likes seeing DLC from a different character's perspective.
Yeah, that's true. Like they did in Batman, like the Arkham Knight there. Yeah.
Although people weren't crazy about those DLCs, were they? For some reason, I think they were too short or something.
Yeah, mostly I think I recall hearing it was the content or the size of them. Especially, I think Batman had a $50 season pass. Might have been 40, but I think it was 50. And so, I mean, you're almost paying for a second game at that point. So you're setting expectations extremely high if you're charging $50 for your set of DLC.
Really.
Right, totally.
Yeah, we just played through Arkham Knight. I say we. John played, and I'm like, go over there, go over there, go over there. Which is sometimes our duo playing.
What price did the Fall launch at?
$10.
$10.
Which it still costs.
Excellent.
It does indeed. Although, I mean, the vast majority of our sales, as I'm sure most people can make this claim, the vast majority of our sales come from Steam sales. So, you know, it's always on sale for God knows what percent off.
Yeah.
Various percent off.
Steam, especially. I mean, I think the consoles are the same way, and I myself am guilty of waiting for sales on a lot of games. But like Steam gamers literally aren't interested in buying a lot of games until they're in one of the bundles where they get like 6 games for $5 and stuff like that. So I'd assume when like the first time you joined a bundle, have you guys been in any of the like bundle sales or things
Oh
like
yeah,
that?
we've
I'd
done
assume
all that
the
stuff.
sales kind of skyrocket at that point.
Oh sure,
We've
yeah.
been in a mix. We've done a Humble Bundle both for a PC version, and then we joined the first console Humble Bundle with Nintendo.
Ooh.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
that's right.
Cheese is asking if we want to talk about our experience with sales and bundles.
I'm actually happy to talk.
Yeah.
We don't have numbers.
No, I mean we could look them up, but so the Steam Summer Sale in 2014 was the thing that rocketed the game to
Yeah.
success.
By the way, you're looking to shoot down that winch. I saw that you tried it once, but you missed it by like half a centimeter.
Okay.
So I probably could make the collider bigger, quite frankly. Yeah, but I mean, the problem is that right now there's so many games, and that there's a massive visibility problem, frankly, for indies. So it was only due to sales and these extreme discounts that gave us, any visibility. Which, quite frankly, at first I wasn't sure how I felt about it. I think a lot of indies kind of, do it, but maybe on some level they're bitter or something like that. And there were certainly some feelings for us around that. Like we weren't sure if it was okay to discount so much right off the bat or be in bundles and all the rest of it. But the truth of the matter is that there's not many other ways of competing or getting above that massive tidal wave of content. So
it takes a lot to get attention through development and to keep attention.
Yeah.
If you're not with a AAA marketing machine.
Yeah, there's no doubt. There's no doubt there's a flood of indie gamers or indie developers putting their games on Steam, even on Xbox One and PlayStation 4. There's a lot of indie games on there that are, I mean, whether it's Sony and Microsoft's fault, and me and Paul have talked about this before too a little bit. But I mean, it's really hard to get noticed, And then I saw things on Reddit where like they had an upcoming game section, and it was 3 tiles with Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare 2 and 3 tiles with Far Cry Primal, and so that they're so much more focused on putting those bigger games at the front and center.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, it's really exciting because like the democratization and the gatekeepers are kind of out of the way now. But on the other hand, it's no longer, oh, you're on Steam, you're amazing. Oh, you're on Xbox One, you're amazing. Like it's not a marker of quality to have gotten through that process.
Yeah, and I think the industry is just going to invent new markers of quality. Like we need to find some solution for that because it's becoming a bigger and bigger problem. I'm sure you guys are well familiar with it.
Yeah, I told Danielle a while back that we named this as one of our favorite games of last year, but I also had a worst games of the year list, and it was all indie games, and some people took it, not the developers, but just some of the readers for some reason took it really personally. But I wish for there to be a measure of quality control, and there's some games where there's obviously no quality control, and I get mad about it.
Yeah, it's clear. Go ahead.
And I think it's good that you get mad about it. I mean, I guess maybe they feel like it's like you're punching down kind of a thing, like you're picking on the little guy or something like that.
That seemed to be. Yeah, like if I worked hard on this game and somebody called it the worst game of the year, that would break my heart.
Right. Well,
one thing being an artist. I mean, when even last generation, like the first game you made, the first big game you made as an indie developer would probably never be anywhere but maybe on like a little your own personal website, stuff like that. You kind of learn from making these little small games. Nowadays, like, I mean, there's games on Xbox One and PS4 that really feel like it's the person's first game they made. Like they've never got into game development until right now, and they're able to publish their game kind of wherever they want to. And I don't know, you can just tell sometimes.
Why am I not pushing? Oh, the security card. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm really interested in the conversation, so it totally divides my puzzle solving mind.
It's hard to stream.
Yeah, I think that. Well, I mean, frankly, for like speaking as an indie, I mean, getting like honestly, I mean, this sounds a little bit like, I mean, capitalism is not popular nowadays, but I'm starting to see a value in being part of a market, because somebody who doesn't know who you are, who isn't your friend, who doesn't really care about you at all, them saying, "Oh, this game's a piece of crap. It's not worth 50 cents." There's a truth that you can count on that. Or somebody who says, "Yeah, this is worth $10. It's not worth 15." That's actually real feedback. And the thing when you want to do something creative, I'm sure you guys have found this too, is that all your friends are, and I'm sure rightfully so, are like very supportive. They think that everything you do is great and they want to encourage you. But there's something really lovely about getting pure brazen feedback, and that's of course what you get from joining a market, from putting your game in front of reviewers who really don't know you and are protecting consumers from buying a piece of junk. So that's extremely valuable. I mean, it's where else do you get that clarity from?
That's a nice way to put it. See, that's the other side of it. And also, like, even if I'm harsh about how, as a reviewer, a critic, even if I'm harsh about a game, it's never just to be mean. It's always stuff that
Sure.
really the developers should have thought of, or at least needs to be aware of.
Yeah, exactly. And you use examples in game situations where, like, the mechanic or whatever the problem is, has actually failed, and it's just not right in the game. And so it's it's a way of providing feedback. I do think, like, the Steam communities, and I think you guys said you're pretty active on the Steam boards for this game and stuff, but there's a lot of really good feedback that come from those kind of message boards on Steam and stuff.
This stumped me a little bit last time. I remember that. What to do right here.
Cluck My Duck is gonna make a game to try and get on your worst of 2016 list.
Go Cluck My Duck, yeah. If anybody's wondering, the very worst game I played last year was Frizzy. Boy, that game is bad.
I was gonna say, it turns out he made Frizzy.
Aha! No, or these guys are friends with the Frizzy developer. They're like, hey, no.
Oh.
I haven't heard of it, but we actually, I don't even want to say what it is, but I actually have an old game on Steam that I made years ago that got on Steam before Greenlight, and I was very lucky. And it's still on there, and it's got a 0% user rate. So I know, like, this isn't my first game, and I certainly have had a lot of failure, so I don't hold it against anybody.
Someone asked earlier what got us into game development. Do you want to?
Sure. Yeah, I'm just a huge nerd. There's no complex answer to that question. I just Quake 1 levels actually when I was like 13. Yeah, you guys. I'm sure you guys probably played Quake. You're about the right age.
I have. Tyler probably not.
Have I played Quake? Yeah, but not how it's meant to be played now, like with the competitive.
Played it by watching other people play it. No, I've only played 2 and 3 actually.
Oh, okay.
And
Wow,
4.
no
Sorry,
wow,
forgot
yeah.
4.
Oh, right, 4. Yeah, I actually kind of like 4.
I played.
4 was the big console
Yeah,
game,
the
right?
performance was
Like,
atrocious, so it made it difficult to enjoy. But if it had run right on the 360, then it would have been pretty neat.
The 360, of course. Oh, you're supposed to jump up.
Just
by the
jump.
way. Jump up.
God, here I am.
Just jump. Pluck My Duck says you can't tell us about the game and not tell us the name. They need proof.
I don't want it to like get out. But I
Do
guess
a web search.
There's nothing right now that associates it with Over the Moon. So.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, fine. The game's called Raycatcher.
Uh-oh.
If you really want to look it up, you can. But
I'm looking at it.
This is interesting.
was
It was
my word, I'm sorry.
So I mentioned earlier, so I'm not sure who. I'm not on the development side with Over the Moon. I do the helpful other things. So some of the marketing and basically company overhead is the type of stuff that I do, and various other aspects. I often joke that I'm the helpful fiance, so whatever that entails. But I got into video games when I was younger. My siblings and I saved up for an N64 console and bought it ourselves because our parents wouldn't let us play games.
Mm-hmm.
But when we bought it ourselves,
story.
Yeah, they couldn't stop us anymore.
So here I'm interacting with some kind of, what is it, a computer system of some kind, and I have choices I can make.
Yeah, this is Sean doing the voice acting. He was amazing when he came into audition. We knew that we wanted these two voices, that one would be this like super rigid, professional corporate fake voice, and that the other would be this more authentic, human expression that he, this character has kind of learned to develop. And Sean could hit both of them and go in and out of the character, and and just nailed the lines as soon as we brought him in.
Very nice.
He was so great.
Will you be using any of these people again in the sequel?
So it's hard to say. I mean, certainly Arid will be in the game. I mean, we're so happy with Allison. She's got so much emotion, but she like crammed that into this kind of robotic, rigid thing, and so she's gonna be so good as Arid develops as a character. She's gonna be able to bring that out more. We're super excited about that.
Yeah, probably as much as they're available.
Yeah.
It kind of depends on their availability too.
We're trying to open up the world a lot more too, so we don't want it to be here in this Domesticon facility. So probably there'll be new characters and new areas, but we might see a few of them return.
That'd be great. And yeah, even though Arid is an AI, there is a measure of character development, isn't there?
Yeah, for sure. No, we definitely want to develop her into a complex, conscious person, if possible. Well, we'll see where it goes. There's a few, we've got a damn good idea where we're taking the story, but it's still there's still a few questions. We could either go this way or that way, kind of a thing. So we'll see what players think of part 2, and then we'll decide.
By the possibilities. So how many episodes are you thinking of then?
3, unless it'll be 3 for sure. But if part 2 completely bombs and people are just done with the fall, which hopefully they won't be, then yeah, part 3 will probably be quite small, and it'll just finish up the series. But yeah, we're doing 3.
Jaxer wants to know when part 2 is to be released. That is the $1 million question.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
One plan was like now.
Yes, the original plan was like April 2016, which we are not going to hit.
Yes. We're thinking probably maybe fall this year. Probably maybe.
Yeah, maybe the fall in the fall.
Fall in the fall, exactly.
Even if it was ready now, just hold on to it till the fall.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Fall into the fall in the fall. The challenge is the mix of like wanting to do a great game and do justice to the story, and John is not exactly a one-man team, but it's mostly him and I'm on Twitter. Caleb does the writing, and then there's a sound guy and
animation
guy. But other than that, it's a one-man show.
Yeah. So it's a lot of work.
So with the sequel, what do you think about a subtitle to help with search engine?
Yeah, we've got a few ideas. We haven't announced it yet. I guess I could probably say. Could I say?
You could.
We're playing with it. Well, maybe I should just sit on it.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know.
You don't have to say it officially. You can say this is what I'm thinking of.
Right. Yeah. Well, we might as well say it anyway. So, we're thinking about going with something like the Fall 2 Unbound, or something, because of course Arid is this super rigid character who's dealing with all these like rigid limitations and boundaries, and then actually I don't want to spoil, but at this game she's in a very sort of unusual state. So we kind of wanted to pick it up and be like, well, what happens to her now, and what's going to happen to her personality? How does she cope with this as an individual, and what options are open to her now, and what challenges does she have, and then really explore some super weird places. The Fall 2 Fall Harder. We have had that suggested.
Fall Harder.
Yeah, the Fall 2 Cruise Control.
The ending, people shouldn't let the ending be spoiled for them. It's one of those things where it's better just to experience it.
Yes, I should be careful what I say. That's a problem with marketing this damn series, really, because it's like, what can I say ever? Like it's...
Yeah, we have a constant back and forth where I'm like, we should tell people more things, and John goes, no, it'll ruin it.
Yeah, basic.
So Swizzlers is telling us off that we could have had Paul write an article to release the game name.
No.
Right.
Well, I'm sure when they have specific news to announce that we'll cover it.
Yep.
Oh, cool. Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's not official yet, and yeah, you guys
just
heard
tell me
it
what
first.
to pick, because this is.
Okay.
I mean, I figured it out, but.
Yes.
So we are. What you need to do is basically the. have we gotten the security room on
Not
the right
yet.
open yet?
No, you're. Yeah.
So you need to call out the security bot, and when he comes out, so basically, fail this conversation, so the security bot comes out, and then hide. And then when he hides, he thinks that he'll try and activate this panel because he thinks there's something wrong. But the panel's broken, so you have to shoot the wire in the ceiling, and then...
Okay, yeah, I can probably take it from there, hopefully.
Man, I'm not sure I'm going to be smart enough for this game.
Yeah, just it's possible. It's an adventure game, and it is possible for people to get stuck. Right now I could figure a lot of this stuff out, but there were times that I really got stuck, and I had to look up videos on YouTube.
Yeah, we have had that feedback. There's a couple puzzles in particular when every now and again I meet people and they're like, "Oh yeah, the fall. God, that one puzzle."
The baby puzzle.
The baby, and they're like, "Yes." Yeah.
That was rough.
But yeah, the kind of overarching theme that you've talked about quite a bit is looking to subvert the rules in different ways. So often the puzzles, there's a rule of how you would do it, and then so using Aerodope some way to subvert that or undermine it can help you with a solution.
Yeah, that was the goal.
Yeah,
I think that most of the problem that people have is that there's clues in the environment, but they're some of them like the baby puzzle, they're kind of, the clues are all over the map, and they're kind of you need to connect pieces of data across the map in your mind and then kind of infer something else, and then it's a little, we're asking players to make a little bit too much of a stretch, I think.
A couple times too I've joined Twitch streams and it's very clear the person playing just isn't reading the text.
Oh, that is
no.
Jeez,
it's gonna be the worst hour
what a
ever.
jerk that person is. I hate people like that.
They don't
Be hunted down
read.
and killed.
It's an adventure.
I'm making fun of myself.
Oh, yeah, that's
No,
you,
not
is that what
normally,
you
but
said?
tonight, because we're talking and everything. Yeah, I'm not paying proper attention. So I hid, and then I must have not done something right.
There's some sparks in the ceiling, which is often
so I'm just
good
not noticing.
thing to
Oh, dang it. Okay.
Well, we're sorry.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, and I think that we can do some work to lead people into the thing more. But that's the state of this game, is noticing details in the environment. And I mean, honestly, that was another big inspiration behind making it. Was I love games that have lore and interesting things that happen in the environment. Like, as an environment artist, which is how I worked in the industry before I went independent, you're always taught to put details into the environment and put story into the environment. So, who is in the environment, what do they use it for, how does wear and tear form on the edges of objects and all the rest of it. And it's all interesting, but it's it doesn't matter to the gameplay. It really doesn't matter what the details there. It's just kind of aesthetic. So I wanted to make a game where you actually had to pay attention to those details, and they did mean something. And when you saw them and you kind of interpreted it and understand what it is and what it meant, then you could understand where to go. But of course, the flip side is that if you don't like to read, then it's going to be the worst torture.
Yeah, it wouldn't be the right kind of game for you. This is embarrassing, though. God. I mean, I've totally done this before. Tyler, you should have played through it, and then you could just give advice. There we go. No.
Yeah.
Oh wait, the robot's gonna come out after I fail a conversation, then something different will happen, right? Is that it?
Yeah, because now the panel's powered up. So he came out the first time and he tried to use the diagnostic panel. So he's basically like, oh, I got called out, but nobody's here. There must be a problem with the system. So he goes to try and use the diagnostic, but his panel's broken. So now you power.
I really like this character that they're talking to right now.
Cheers, good, I'm glad.
Disengage.
Yeah, the mainframe AI. Hank or Morley, he doesn't have a name yet.
Yeah, Dark Player wants to know what our favorite underrated game is.
Oh, that's a great question. Underrated. That's an underrated
I
game.
loved King's Quest. I think it was 7, The Princess Bride. I played it a lot in the mid to late 90s, but I don't think other people liked it as much as I did. But
there's a small indie action shooter called Bleed Online that I really like. It's ugly as sin. I really wish they had a better artist, but I had a lot of fun with that. I was really quite surprised.
Is that on Steam?
What is enough? It is, yeah.
So we got a little security robot or a maintenance robot? Yeah, maintenance robot, right?
Yeah. He's
Oh, no,
Well,
I'm
now that the main robot came out, now the
Oh,
door is
so I can
open.
just
Where
go
does he
through.
come?
Yeah, yes, you can. That's another thing in part 2. If when there's doors, you can see them a lot more clearly.
Yeah.
All I'm doing is like I'm watching this. I'm just like, oh my god, we fixed that. We fixed that. Like, there's all this.
Yeah, but just remember, this doesn't represent my normal playthrough. It's only a streaming
Oh,
while
no,
talking
don't
to
worry.
Elder playthrough.
That's always the excuse Paul comes up with.
I'm amazed that you can like still move the character around and
Yeah.
talk. That's
Yeah.
pretty amazing.
Sometimes I fall right out of my chair. Should be something.
HH Text says, I remember King's Quest 7 as well. You know, I love the puns. That game was so about the like witty, silly puns, and those are my favorite.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't I know it?
John loves
it annoys me
puns.
when people, like some people get annoyed by puns or act like they're some kind of low form of comedy, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're great.
Yeah. Oh, they're the worst. they're it's kind of fun to hate puns, but it's not a big deal.
I actually haven't played the new King's Quest game. I'm kind of nervous to do it and have it not be as good as I remember.
It's certainly a good game. It's very much worth playing. It's still coming out, right? I don't think they finished it yet.
Yeah, it's like 4 parts or something.
Crikey.
Didn't the second part just come out?
Human Corpse. Poor Human Corpse.
Brian would know for sure. Brian
has streamed it several times. He's our contest guy.
Cool. Excellent. Someone asked another question and I lost it. If someone had a question that they're like, oh, they haven't answered it, it's because the stream went by really fast.
It's hopping tonight. People are happy to see you guys.
Yeah. Chatty people.
So now that you've looked at that corpse, now Aerith has something else to talk to the mainframe about. She can be like, there's a goddamn human body. What's going on?
And I killed the little security robot. It's like from Star Wars or something. Maintenance robot.
What did he ever do to you?
Yeah, it's cruel. It's very cruel of you.
Poor Danielle. I hope she doesn't feel like she's not getting her due.
Aerith, are you okay?
I mean,
sorry?
like, I hope she's fine, right? She's not like disappointed that. No, of course she's not disappointed because you have the most things to say about it, right? That makes sense.
Oh, yeah. No, she. You're saying maybe I took over or something like that?
That's not what I meant. I just didn't want her to feel left out. Yeah.
Oh, good. No, I really don't think so. Well, I think that she knows that I feel like she's certainly welcome. So she does most of these actually. It's like she's used to scheduling and doing these kind of podcasts, but tonight I just happened to be free, so I thought that I might as well join other than just sit in the office and twiddle my thumbs.
It's a real treat for us.
My pleasure.
Any games you guys are looking forward to that are coming out here? I don't know. I guess it's kind of a slow release season over the summer, but there's some big games coming out.
Good question. What is coming out? I just picked up The Witness, and I've been playing that.
Oh, nice. I played through that.
Oh, you did? You played through it? Wow.
I had mixed feelings.
Used guides.
I didn't use guides for the whole thing. I used guides for the Tetris puzzles because they were breaking my brain.
Yeah, some of the puzzles are brutal, dude.
You know, I really liked, I don't know how far you are, and I won't get into too big of any comments because I know there's a lot of viewers still who are playing it as well. There's stuff that are like puzzles based on the environment, and you have to like kind of see what to do that's around you, stuff like that I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
and then there's the grid puzzles, which did not throw me like at all. Like the ones with the Tetris pieces, the different like grids that have like the little symbols, and you have to figure out what the symbols mean. Like even if I knew what the symbols meant, I just couldn't get a kick out of drawing lines for designs and stuff. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of inclined to agree. I mean, I'm enjoying it, and even those puzzles to me, I find it to be kind of a challenge. But you know, it's kind of seems like he's trying to do something really interesting or meaningful. But of course, the vast majority of your time is spent in this extraordinarily dry, cognitive, puzzly kind of thing.
Yeah. You have this huge, massive, colorful world, this island, and your screen is mostly focused on a 4x4 grid puzzle panel that you can't. It's like it reminded me of like the little puzzles in elementary school where you had to draw designs without like lifting up your pen or tracing over lines and stuff. And it's like, oh my god.
But I keep coming back. The environments are beautiful enough that I'm like,
Yeah,
more.
yeah, no, it's deep, and I've actually watched other people play it who are much, much, much better at the puzzles, and it's more fun to watch them play it than it was me actually playing it. I was hating it, but I mean, there were some other puzzles that I did really enjoy that I thought were really clever. Like there's the desert puzzle, and there's some other ones that are really cool. Um, but yeah, I'm the biggest fan and the biggest supporter of his first game, Braid. That's one of my favorite games, probably from all of last generation, and
Braid is
so I was a bit disappointed
I
by the
think Braid is
Witness.
overrated, but that's just me.
And then Paul doesn't.
Not that I don't
Braid.
like it at all, but like I really don't like. We've talked about it before. I really don't like how the story and the game are so separate from each other, and it sounds like that the Witness has the same problem, right?
Oh yeah, the Witness narrative is non-existent unless you go out and look for it, and then even if you do that, I don't see that there's a huge connection with what you're doing.
Yeah, and as somebody with a literature degree who read a lot of books and studied a lot, I really think it's just snooty. Like the story is snooty. It's like him he's pointing his nose up at the audience. Don't like it.
I can see that.
Yeah, I kind of am inclined to agree. I'm glad that somebody's trying. There's so many games that just don't give a damn about meaning and trying to structure some ideas and stuff. So he's doing it to some degree. Obviously, like he is very passionate about the medium. So I almost like don't want to criticize him because I'm like, it's like him and two other guys that give a shit. But it's I kind of have similar feelings.
That's an interesting perspective because I'm one of those guys, like I wouldn't need to know the character's name, just give me like for Super Meat Boy, which does have a little bit of a story, it's not deep or anything like that, but just give me a character to jump and avoid spikes and things to do, and I don't even need a story to really enjoy a game. But I do think you're right, like sometimes it's probably not put in there just because the creator doesn't want to put the effort into creating a background or a story or things like that.
Sure. And I'm not saying anyway that like most games, even need a story. I personally love that kind of stuff, and I like it when people try and explore like, how do I communicate ideas with games? I think that's super exciting. But I've played lots of games that don't, and I think they're fine. Like I wouldn't criticize, that there's, lack for, of meaning for the most part, but certainly he is trying.
Yes.
And I solved a puzzle, by the way, all on my own without help.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay.
We had some questions, by the way, that we missed. I gotta scroll
up.
By
the way, am I supposed to be turning the lights on in here? I can't remember.
The game is dark and brooding.
Okay.
Let's see. After experience of the fall, would you guys do another episodic game? How would you weigh the pros and cons of episodic development versus the whole game development? So I kind of think that like I would like to scale up our production a little bit. Right now we did the fall episodically because we didn't have any resources to begin with. So it's like, well, I don't have $1 million to spend on a big game, and we basically had to keep it small and do episodic because even, quite frankly, if the fall did not sell, there wouldn't be a fall part 2. If it made $3.50, it's like, well, screw that. Like I have, better things to do. I'll get a job at, McDonald's or whatever it is. Yeah, so I'd probably do it again. I really like the accessibility of it, but there's also a thing where, working on part 2, even though I love it, I'm just like, oh my God, I want to be done with this. Like, it could be the best game ever and I'd still be like, time to move on and do something new. So
yeah, every week or so, people are like, "Hello, when's episode 2 coming?" I'm like, "Soon."
Yeah, that's
We're
true.
working on it.
Like, it would be nice to have a Jonathan Blow thing where it's like, I made Braid, now piss off and leave me alone, and I'll maybe make 10 years.
Give me 7 years to make another game. Yeah. How do you guys respond to the people who are like, I mean, I've literally heard people say that like indie games are they hurt the catalog of PlayStation 4 or Xbox One. Like, oh, why do they keep putting these games out? No one wants these anymore. Like, how do you respond to something like that? Because obviously it's not a very well informed opinion, but you kind of have to judge everyone's opinion, somewhat.
Yeah, well, I think it completely depends on what the values are of the person saying that, and I mean they could be saying it for a lot of different reasons. Like, I mean, a lot of players, when they talk about quality, there's some kind of unconscious definition of what quality is, of course, and whether that's some people where they like, what they want is like a hardcore game where they can like compete and excel at, like a Call of Duty like multiplayer, or maybe they want like a first person like immersive thing where it's like high fidelity. I think a lot of young people, for example, have got an idea that art, if it's not extremely detailed, that suggests a lack of skill or a lack of dedication or a lack of quality, which I think is incorrect. But I think again, like, I mean, I'm being apparently a staunch capitalist today, but I really think that it's a question for the market. I mean, I would say that the fall has certain qualities, and it has certain things that are missing, that it doesn't do and doesn't try to do. So, if there's a lot of players that give a damn and are interested in that type of experience, then they'll pay for it. And if not, then Sony will say, oh, nobody's buying these things, and they'll remove them from the store.
Sure.
I personally think that this type of experience is actually exactly what I want. So, yeah, I mean, other than that, I guess I could just say I don't agree. So
yes, they're wrong.
Yeah.
They're so wrong.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and you guys don't have the retro look. It's obvious still the visuals are pretty fleshed out in this game, and they look pretty good. I think the criticism comes up a bit more when the people go with the 8-bit or 16-bit style of graphics. That's where the most of the vitriol, is that the word, comes from people.
Well, we're getting sick of that too, aren't we? The pixel
Really?
art is
Yeah.
like, okay, enough is enough, boys. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
Huh.
people can do it really, really well. Like
Sure,
I'd say
yeah.
our friends at Yacht Club or Shovel Knight
yeah.
folks,
Like,
they
they did a good job.
hit that perfectly pitched and have done incredibly well. And
Hyperlight Drifter looks
Hyperlight
awesome.
Drifter
Like,
has a really beautiful style, but sometimes what I've seen is it's just like I don't know if it's lazy, but it's like it doesn't look very good. Like it's
right.
There's definitely some like that. I don't mind it too much. I mean, I'll say too, or there's only one popping in mind. Hotline Miami, I think, is probably the ugliest game I've ever played. One of the ugliest games I've ever played, and it's an extremely popular game, and it's not popular for its art style, I don't think, at all.
Right.
But so I think that not great looking games can. And I like Hotline Miami. It's really, really hard for me. I don't know why, but I suck at it.
It is hard.
But so I mean, I
it's-
think that not great looking games can still excel. And you can kind of tell the difference between like a really put together one. Like Broforce is coming out, and I think that looks really good. Super Time Force Ultra is another good one. But I don't mind the retro pixel art style still at all. I do understand that maybe other people are getting tired of it, but I certainly am not.
Yeah, I dig that, man. And and one thing I could actually even say for Hotline Miami, which is, I mean, not just the art, but the audio and everything. Like, that game creates a feeling. Like, it elicits like a very certain, like, it feels like when you play the game, it feels like it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're in some kind of drug induced alcoholic haze. Like, it's a very unique
It
feeling.
does do that.
Yeah, and that's not something that you can do if you're incompetent. Like that, like, like the style and everything they chose really creates that feeling. So, honestly, I kind of feel like the pixel art thing is usually it's done as like an afterthought, like they just pick an art style because it's easy. But if you're going to use it for something, you'd be like, yeah, like this is a retro to like throwback to the 80s or whatever, and they want it to feel like that. And you're actually like providing me a feeling that isn't just like the same as every other pixel art game out there, then yeah, of course I'm behind it. Like, I'll still, I'm not going to poo-poo some pixel art style or whatever. But
sorry, I was just going to say, Paul, to give you a hint, talk to the family in the
Okay,
kitchen
do you need
to get cued for the next puzzle. It's good that you're picking up stuff, and
I wandered around here
What you
so
need
much
to.
in my original playthrough, and the baby puzzle was the last one that I solved for sure.
Yeah, that's why we tag team. You can talk about
Alright.
the future of indie gaming, and I can make sure that we're.
So the one in the kitchen, huh?
Can the I mean, shame on me, I don't know a ton about the fall. Can some of the puzzles be solved out of order or in different orders?
nope,
Or,
the game is linear currently.
It is linear. Okay.
Yeah. We thought about doing branching stuff in choice. Because we're making a game about rigidity and rules and all that kind of stuff. And of course the main character's a robot. I think it kind of works that it's linear, but I don't know. There's a bigger rant I could go on about choice in video games, especially in adventure games. I think that like, I mean, I understand that if you're talking about a game, then you're talking about, like, player action and what can I do at what time and all this kind of stuff. But I think that choice and narrative is massively overhyped.
What gets on my nerves is the illusion of choice, like Telltale games often have.
Right. Yeah.
If you're gonna have choice, let it be
Right.
meaningful.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with Paul on that.
Yeah, and you know what though? It's funny because I agree with that. But I also sometimes I even feel like I would be even happier with choice that just didn't have any consequences if you made it meaningful, when you did the choice. Like, coming across like a car full of groceries, and you don't know who left it, or if they're coming back, or if they need the food to survive, or whatever. That's a meaningful decision in and of itself. Like the world doesn't need to come back and be like, oh, consequences, in order for that to be meaningful. Like, the emotional reactions of the characters and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's lots of room in that for me. And sometimes I feel like these games they need to, like, somehow make this scorecard where it's like, well, you chose to go left instead of right. That means that, this thing is going to happen. And yeah, I don't know. I'm a kind of a curmudgeon.
I get that. One thing, I mean, and it depends on how good the story is and how good the narrative is, but sometimes, there's an example I can give. Have you guys played The Last of Us? I don't know if either of you have. I
Yeah,
don't
so
think
good.
Paul has. And we can't really talk about the ending because I'm sure there's lots of people out there who haven't played it. But that's kind of like the example you're giving. The Last of Us kind of did it a different way, more to like what you were saying. I think that's what you're saying anyway, and I won't get into too much more detail, but it's really an interesting kind of way compared to like a lot of games where like you kind of get to choose your direction through the whole game. The Last of Us kind of eschewed that a little
Can
bit.
I eat a mushroom here or something?
Right.
Because I'm supposed to get that guy's hand, aren't I, or some part of his body?
Yeah.
You need to. The gold coin that you
I'll
have
take it and use it.
conducts electricity, so you need to get it into a form that you can use it in this area, and
So
that'll
go
help
back
you.
upstairs.
Yeah, so the slugs are basically light sensitive. They really don't like the light. So if you can turn on the power in this room, you can kind of freak them out a little bit.
There are a couple questions in a row. So someone asked if the puzzles in the house can be done in any order, and I was a little wrong. They can be done in different orders, but what
Oh, that's right.
what
Yeah.
Paul needed next was this puzzle.
Yeah. Come to think of it, I kind of just flat out was wrong, wasn't it? It's like my own game. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the puzzles in the house can be done in any order. No, they can't. No, the kitchen.
You can do the
No, they really
cleaning.
can't be
You have
solved
to
in
do
any
the
order.
cleaning, and then you have to do the kitchen. But then you can do the baby or the flowers in different order,
Yeah. Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I'm
If
pretty
you say
sure.
so.
We haven't
Let's call
played
up the
this one in a
developers and find
Let's
who
do
made
that.
these games.
Funny.
Someone asked another question. Someone said they agree with you, the bearded fellow.
Oh, nice.
Dark6, if you have a crazy spoiler question, you can tweet it to us because then I can look at it and it won't spoil it for other people.
Or if
Yeah,
it's really crazy spoiler, you can email John at overthemoongames.com or
Yeah.
Danielle at overthemoongames.com.
Yeah, if you email Danielle at Over the Moon Games, I can look at it now and see if it's spoiler or not.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Thank you, Dark6, for not just saying it.
Yeah.
We do want to keep spoilers from this game out of the chat.
And then Dark6 asked, the user is unconscious. Yes, so the pilot is unconscious. And if the AI has that much control over the suit, why is someone needed inside of it? Do you want to take that?
Yes, well, Tim, in our opinion, the AIs in the universe are very powerful, but they're shackled for various reasons. Humanity has been through. I think we're going to explore this in later episodes, but basically, humanity's been through a few trials with AIs and has gone to this very like repressive mode as a way of using them. And I think that there's like a belligerence and a prejudice against them to some extent, where they're kind of used as tools, but they probably have a lot more capacity and ability that the humans in the world are kind of trusting them with.
Interesting. Mate.
There is kind of a terror about AIs, like even now for us, It's like,
Yeah.
what do we do?
Yeah, what's that movie, Ex Machina?
Yeah, it's stupid that I still
Oh, you
haven't seen
must.
it.
I haven't seen
Yeah,
it
you're
either.
so good.
Yeah, we've got a list of people are like, oh yeah, you should see her. We're like, oh, we haven't seen it yet.
You haven't seen her either.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
crazy.
I haven't seen that one.
Swizzler asked about cloud saves that sync between Windows 10
Oh, yes.
and Xbox One. Are we gonna do that?
Good question. I guess I should look into it. I'm certainly down
It's
for
cool.
it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I
Sorry,
was
what's
just gonna
that?
say it's cool, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's more trouble than it's worth in this particular case.
I wonder. I mean, the fall part 1 is pretty short. Fall two is a little bit longer. We're not talking about Dark Souls where it's like, oh, I'm 20 hours in and then now I want to switch
Yeah, to
platform.
move
I guess I
your
need to
save.
start again.
Yeah. Huh.
And then someone asked, speaking of talking in environments, are either of us fans of Myst? I love Myst.
Oh, yeah,
I played
Myst,
that a
yeah.
lot. I'm a child of the 80s, so played it in like 95, I think.
Computer lab.
We had a computer at home, so I played it on our PC at home.
I see. So right.
Yeah.
You got more sparks to shoot.
What?
Yeah,
better.
more sparks
oh,
on
man.
your
Dang
ceiling.
it. Okay, down here.
Yeah. We're distracting you. No, that. I've got a lag.
I'll go
It's
back.
back.
Downstairs though, right? Not upstairs.
Downstairs.
Yeah. You're talking about grocery situation, the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the Twitch lag is always fun.
Yeah, it's a little confusing.
It's it's a bit frustrating at times.
Ceiling.
Do you know, Paul? Has the lag always been around, or
I think at some point in time they made a
was it
technical change
introduced?
that increased it, and it used to be less, is what I've read.
That's what I thought.
I
Yeah.
believe it's part of their trying to be compliant for the FCC or something like that because of.
No way, really?
I think.
So they can detect and beep out swear words or titties or something, or what's the deal? Beep out
As it
titties.
They
beeps up.
definitely don't have the ability to do that.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure. I think it.
I don't know what it is, why they do it, but I mean, they definitely they're not able to. They can ban you later if that sort of stuff gets reported or they catch that sort of stuff, but they definitely aren't able to monitor it at that point. And pretty much swearing. There's no problem with swearing on Twitch. They want you to use the mature button, so you have to click on mature before you watch the stream. But they do have a lot of nudity related rules, obviously.
Right.
Yeah, they won't let us stream Hunipop.
Yeah, they don't even let you stream games. Yeah, Brian says the delay has to do with the re-encoding Twitch uses to lower their bandwidth usage.
Okay.
I see.
That makes sense.
So they can send content to half the globe at this
Half
point.
the planet, yeah.
Yeah, and it probably had to do with as it started to explode and get a lot bigger, they probably realized they had to
manage that. Funny story about Twitch, side unrelated to gaming note. My ex-boyfriend in college's roommate is Justin from Justin TV, which Twitch turned into.
Wow.
So, yeah, we didn't date for very long, but Justin often did have a video camera at parties. And I was like, why do you have your camcorder? But worked out pretty well for him.
Yeah, seriously.
That's like
I wasn't even around the whole internet video game streaming at Justin TV point or video streaming at all with Justin TV. I never used Justin TV. So.
I just looked at it a bit and I was like, this is really weird following my ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
So whatever. And then I didn't pay attention for 8 years, and then
maybe he wanted you to stalk him.
He might have, yeah. I don't think so, but so sorry. Back to video games.
Do I need anything else? Sorry, do I need anything else for the baby puzzle? Can I do that one right now?
Yeah. So what you have? So you've used the slug blood to activate the mushrooms yet, or no?
Activate mushrooms doesn't seem like.
So the vacuum test tube goes up into the crawl space, the maintenance crawl space, which you can get to if you use the hand. Right by the baby puzzle, there's a little hand reader. And the bracket holding up the tube is weak, so if you find a way to destroy that bracket, then the tube will fall down over the baby, and then if you fail the vacuum test, then you'll be able to pass the baby test or circumvent it anyway.
Reader, that's right.
And the jar that you have can be filled with a substance.
Yeah. Did he already do that?
I don't think. Oh, he did. Okay, good.
We had a nasty bug where that'll if you close the game, it'll stop dripping halfway through.
Oh.
was fixed a long time ago. but
Okay.
why did I
George,
bring that up?
someone used wait, there was a question up here. Lil Fryer says, does the pilot have a role in the game at any point? I'm curious why he exists. If he's just like a coma patient. He has a role. That's what I would say.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
We're early
Yeah, it's the
in the
mystery
game.
of the
Yeah.
game. You don't want to give too much away.
Yeah. And George wants to know what it's like having a normal voice in an industry full of nerd voices.
Wow.
George asking the tough
heck, George?
questions.
That is a
Do you mean
loaded,
in like
loaded
tone
question.
in terms of pitch or in terms of content of what we say?
Yeah, because I actually have a pretty nerdy voice.
Yeah,
I
my
think.
voice is a little high.
Like
too.
I'm trying to speak like a regular person, but I heard myself. I had an interview at IndieCade, and I almost killed myself when I heard like it was very
We were
nasal.
Yeah, we were talking about getting like speech training for you after.
Oh yeah,
that.
I was like, I need to go to a speech therapist.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Yeah.
Interesting. I think you both have really good voices for Twitch or for
Trying
anything.
my hardest.
Phew. We're speaking with our diaphragms. Would we like to talk about the fall story across the installments? Do we see them as a standalone story that continue an overarching arc or individual pieces of one story that are incomplete on their own?
So they are. Oh,
It's Cheese.
Cheese is just baiting us.
He's setting us up.
Appropriate name.
Yeah, he's helping us do PR.
Yeah.
Like our PR.
He's so great.
Yeah, good question. Well, good question, sir. Whoever you are. Yeah, so the plan is, if anybody else cares, is that the fall obviously is episodic, but we really don't want it to players have experience where each story doesn't conclude. So each game has a plot, and the plot has got a central conflict that gets resolved, and of course it ends with more questions that will be answered in the second one, and then the second one will be the same situation, and it'll be answered in the third, and of course there'll be an entire plot arc that's complete over the course of the trilogy. But each game will stand on its own. We really hate that whole oh, I paid $10 for this game and I put in a few hours and all I got was extraordinarily frustrated.
Well, let's see if it'll be finished.
Yeah. Exactly.
Power generator. Let's turn that on. Oh hey, and we just restored power upstairs. Or some power. Tyler?
I think the
Okay.
yeah.
Everyone got really quiet. I was scared.
Oh, yeah. That's
Yeah, I was just looking.
What are
There's
you
like some
doing?
paragraphs.
Valiant Cheese kind of mentions he thinks the fall works well as a standalone title, which I mean I was kind of gonna agree with that. I mean I think that you probably saw more success making it a 10 be like a more affordable. Like honestly, $10 is about the lowest as low as it gets for downloadable games anymore. So I think that probably worked better than maybe trying to release it as a full game for $30 all at once. I know that people are still struggling with the fact that games come out at $25, $30. I know speaking of The Witness, there was a huge thing about The Witness costing $40 and people saying that's way, way, way higher than they're going to go for a indie game, for a downloadable game, stuff like that. So it seems like this method might have worked out really well for you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did okay.
Yeah, we looked at the pricing in terms of, for some people, a game like The Fall, they'll play it instead of going to a movie. And so now with movies costing what they are, it's pretty comparable, and
Yeah,
you can
we
experience
thought it was about
it.
right.
Yeah, experience it in an evening.
I'm all in. Yeah, Cheese says in Australia games are still $100.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm all for game developers charging more. Certainly, like I do worry that we're in this weird place where we're undercutting. By the way, there is a note in the upstairs maintenance room where and it's relevant to this. It has, if you read that note again, you'll get some information that's relevant to where you're stuck with the baby.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just like, yeah, you're right. I didn't absorb enough information over there. I know. So I don't even need to be up
Maybe
here.
I should just tell you because you're.
No, I think, yeah, if you read that note, you'll get.
I was looking for where to
Right.
put the liquid to short out the board, I guess, is what I was thinking of at that moment.
It's actually it's the pheromones for the
Slug.
The slugs, the mushroom's predator, so they'll have a defensive reaction. So basically, yeah, if you use the slug blood on the mushroom, and you can't use it in the vent because the root system runs up. But if you go upstairs, there's a mushroom you can use.
Right down on them.
Okay, but yeah, we're getting close to running out of time. So what we should do is the baby thing again. So is this the right note? No, this is the one about shorting it out.
Yeah, that's much later. So we were talking about the one upstairs.
Yeah, go upstairs.
Do go up from here. Wait.
Go up and then to the mushroom on your left.
We've got the delay is causing us problems.
Yeah.
Well, basically, all it is the note upstairs says this maintenance head is complaining because he doesn't want to clean out this mushroom infestation because he knows they're dangerous, and the CEO is like, buddy, just do it. They're only dangerous if their natural predator gets around. They'll start secreting acid or whatever. So you actually have some blood of these slug creatures. So if you pour it around that mushroom, the mushroom will like freak out and get aggravated, and then it'll start secreting acid spores. And then you can just walk near the mushroom by the vent, and it'll knock down the tube for the baby.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Oh God. Sorry.
It's a cumbersome puzzle. I'm not gonna lie. We went a little bit overboard.
Yeah. Someone asked if you would ever consider making a VR game.
Yeah, I'm super interested in VR. I don't know if it's... I think other people are probably doing it better. I'm not sure. Maybe. We'll see.
Some friends of ours are making Fantastic Contraption,
yeah,
which is the coolest.
A lot of fun.
Coolest. So it's so fun. It's an HTC Vive game, room scale VR. And it's awesome. I played for an hour and didn't get nauseous, which is funny to say is like, that's awesome. But early VR, I get pretty sick. But not with the Vive and not with Fantastic Contraption.
That's good to hear. I played Adrift with it for a little while and I liked it. I felt like maybe slightly queasy, but I don't know, maybe it was all in my head too.
Is that the space, like, floating through space game? Yeah, it comes out on
PC next month, right? We just did a story on it.
Oh man, they finally got a date?
And then consoles after that, though, so console release is staggered.
Okay. Isn't that by one of the guys that worked for Microsoft and got in trouble?
Yeah, it was Adam Orth, the dreaded Adam Orth.
Yeah, that's his name.
Let the meat cake, he said.
Deal with it guy or whatever.
Yep.
So, Paula, we may have some lag here, but if you go back down to the tube...
Now it'll be okay.
Is where you can... Now you can explode the mushroom you need to explode.
Okay, no, I'll go. You can wait.
If you want to do the baby before you run out of time.
You know, I was just... besides the UI being a little awkward as far as interacting with objects goes, my only other serious complaint is that the achievements are so missable. I really don't like that.
Yeah, the missable achievements. Thank you, I appreciate the feedback.
Because, yeah, you know, like, for people who care about achievements, like missing an achievement and just not being able to go back unless you replay the whole game, that's super frustrating.
Yeah.
Right, interesting.
Yeah, I didn't totally understand the scope of the achievement-loving community, so when, like, mere hours after the game was released, people were, like, 100% on the achievements on all the different achievement forums. It was just pretty amazing to watch.
There's a lot of people that really enjoy them.
Yeah.
I mean, I myself am quite into them as well. I don't. The missable ones don't bug me as much. I would never play a game like this with a guide the first time through just to get achievements. But I think a lot of people play like that, which is kind of weird. But like for me, if I felt like I needed to get them all, I would just do a second playthrough.
What I was amazed by was people were posting about it, saying that it was well worth the cost to get the gamer score from the achievements. Like $10, totally worth it to get all the achievements. I was like, that is an interesting way to think about buying the game.
Think about it. Some people really only want the achievements, and the game is such a secondary thing, or like the length of the game is very important to them. Well, how fast can I get it for the money I'm spending?
Yeah, and how easy are they?
Yeah, sorry, you guys. I'm just like I'm actually just running out of. I didn't get enough sleep here, but so what am I doing now?
So you're pretty much done. You just need to... So first of all, remove the dust cover from the vacuum test so that you can actually fail that. And then now that the kill tube of the vacuum test is over the crib, start the baby test, and then go fail the vacuum test immediately
Start
after.
the baby test, go fail the vacuum test. Got it. All right.
You have to remove that dust cover, though. So that
Yeah,
you can
remove
actually
the
fail
dust
it.
cover from the
I
vacuum
just
test.
got it off.
Someone asked a question up here. What did they say?
You sure?
Oh, Royal Bob said a chapter select might work for helping with the mystical
Yes.
achievements and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's not a bad idea. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah, we might need that in part 2. Just a little bit bigger.
And Viobot wants to say, weren't achievements added later to the fall?
No, we definitely launched on Steam with achievements.
Yeah.
The commentary was added later.
Ooh. Processing dust detected yet. No.
Game commentary?
Yeah, we added a comment, much like Valve does with those little, notes. Yeah, well, you can turn on the options of anything and have my voice and my writer actually babble about
awesome.
our hopes and dreams.
Yeah, that's
Man,
pretty fun.
that's cool.
We haven't launched that on the consoles, have we?
We've no, it's on the consoles. It's on the, I think it's on the PC version, but it's not on the Mac and Linux. So I haven't been I don't know. I hate having the builds in different states, so I haven't really been promoting it as well as I could have. Because I don't want to promote it, and then the Mac people will be like, "Where's our developer commentary?" And then I'm like, "Oh, fuck yourself!" It's a bad thing.
So it's on Xbox One.
Always a great thing to say to your customer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, they don't like it when we do that.
So you guys, I just got the baby sucked up, and that means I've got all 4 of the in-house puzzles, right? The first 4, because there's 8 total.
Yes. Did you do the flower one?
Oh no, I
flowers
haven't dyed
or
it. What do I use to dye it? Do I use this?
You don't dye it. What it is the computer just upstairs in the vent there. There's you use the wire cutters to disconnect the cable. You can now set the date manually, and because you set the date to winter, so it thinks it's wintertime. So then the seasonally appropriate flowers are purple.
Yeah.
And then you just pass the test.
Good idea.
In the text up in the mainframe, it talks about how the flowers are seasonally appropriate. Excellent. And so because they're purple flowers, you just manually change the season.
Dark Player, you hope the fall will be featured as a game with gold in the future? Maybe. I'm all for any promotion that Microsoft wants to send us. So maybe you write them an email and ask on our behalf, and it might happen.
Has the Xbox One version been on sale before?
Sorry, has it been
sale,
pardon me?
discounted?
I think it has not yet.
I don't think so.
We need to be a lot more better at just because a lot of the platforms I think the PS4 I think they handle more sales themselves maybe, but the Xbox you need to submit a form basically.
Yeah, sometimes we get forms. John fills them out, and then a couple months later we go on sale. We're like, oh yeah, we filled out that form.
Yeah, but we need to take the initiative to be like, it's a sale for us, and we plan the sale and promote it and all that kind of stuff. So
that's
I think
a challenge of a very small.
It's a good idea to get the game back on people's minds again without having to update the game or something.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Zero on Twitch says you should make the next game with only 1 achievement for beating it on its hardest difficulty.
You be quiet, Zero.
That would be tough, given it's a adventure game, to give difficulty differences, right?
Yeah.
Right.
You'd have access to a hint system.
We thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm seriously considering it. We've discovered all kinds of ways to make the puzzles easier in part 2, when we need to. And it's interesting because we're in certain situations where I could just yank all those things out, so we could totally do a hard mode.
Cecile Kilmer used the power of the internet and tells us that we have not been on sale on the Xbox. Thank you.
Wow, well done.
Yeah, there's a sale tracker site. I was going to say about achievements and trophies, if you really want to irk people, what you do is play through it or have one of your QA guys play through it a bunch to the really beating it, I don't know, within an hour or an hour 15, or set a really good speed run time and have that be an achievement. Because that'll drive people insane.
Suck.
I've played through this game so many times, I could probably speedrun it blindfolded, pro level. Well, Fall can be speedrun.
Someone did it pretty fast once.
Take a completion time that you have, add a couple minutes, and then just throw that in there.
Or subtract a minute.
That'll really come. Subtract them.
Yeah, oh God, it's a nightmare.
George wants to know
Oh,
whether it
funny.
has a girlfriend mode. We haven't designed it with a quote unquote girlfriend mode like some games do, but it's really fun to play with your girlfriend
We
as
get
a
some we
as
get
a
some
girlfriend.
serious mean emails that we put in like a patronizing
Yeah.
girlfriend mode with no combat or something. That's like a PR disaster waiting to happen.
But I do know so I have friends whose partners are gamers, and my friends are yoga people, you would say. And but they've gotten into playing games that they can like Telltale games are perfect for my yoga people. They like the four choices and not having to deal with
Right.
Twitch mechanics. So
Puzzle games in general, they make really good multiplayer games, like as a single player, but like if you have a second person watching and they can kind of kick in ideas if they kind of understand the mechanics of the game and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I've done that a few times. I actually watched a friend play The Witness, and I knew some of the solutions, but not all. But like it was interesting to be able to chime in when I see something that maybe he doesn't.
mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
yeah,
did that.
that's
We
true.
do that quite a bit.
Yeah.
We loved
Thanks,
I'm
Lightspeed
blanking on
Halo. Appreciate it, man. Hope you
Yeah.
enjoyed.
I'm blanking on the name. What's the one with all the reading that we like?
Oh, Shadowrun.
Shadowrun.
Yeah, the new Shadowrun Returns
Oh.
is really good.
Yep.
It's
We
fantastic.
played through those together.
The Hong Kong is a little bit wordy, quite frankly. They went a little
Yeah.
overboard, but
Didn't get to play that.
nobody here has a girlfriend.
Yeah, no, the
Yeah.
girlfriend thing
Uh,
mode you described, it reminds me when, what is that game? Ori and the Blind Forest came out. I was remarking that it's so much harder than most Metroidvania games because for a few different reasons. Like there's a lot of spikes in the level design, and there's no fast travel, which is
Yep.
really dumb. But anyway, like I was streaming and we had a QA guy from the actual game just join us, and anyway, I was remarking about how well, like, what about the kind of player who likes Symphony of the Night and stuff, which is easier than normal Castlevanias, and then Ori and the Blind Forest is so much harder, and those people normally would think, well, I like Metroidvania games and I can handle them, but I think Ori might be too hard for some people, you know. I don't know. We had just a little
Mhm.
bit of a disagreement on that point.
Yeah, we for a
Mm-hmm.
while we were doing a games club, so like a book club but with video games with a bunch of John's friends, now my friends too, but from who are in game development. And one thing we noticed about Ori was a lot of the things you have to die to learn. Like there's not a easy learning without dying throughout is a fail state. So it's like every time you're like, oh, you had to go left instead of right there. And you just know that because you died and then you do it again.
Yeah, I
So,
suspect that playing video games makes you into like a psychopath or something. Like I have a very like when I play so many games, like I don't care about loss anymore. I just throw myself into a meat grinder
Oh, I
where
do the same. I do the same thing. Like in Portal, like every time I could fall off a weird ledge, or if there's something weird down there, I wanted to see what would happen.
right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I notice when people start playing games that haven't played them for a while or they don't play much, they're like, "Oh, I died. What does that
Oh.
mean?
Yeah.
I gotta give up on life." Like it's like a big
Yeah,
deal.
and Zero says that not every game is for everyone in response to what I was saying, but like I think, well, you just should think about it. What am I making better by preventing this group of players from playing? You know, because there could be a reason, but I don't know. It just has to be something that you're conscious of.
But to be fair, you're in the very small minority that doesn't particularly care
It's
for
not that I
Ori and the
don't
Blind
like it. It's just this
Forest.
one thing, you know. Like it's just like with Braid, how everyone says Braid is the best thing since peanut butter and jelly, you know. And it's like
Yeah,
I don't not
it
like
is.
Braid, but am critical about some things about it. So that's the same thing with Ori. I like Ori, but there's some things that I think they could do better.
When everybody's
Almost
salivating
pretty
over
much every
something,
game.
it's really hard to not act like it's terrible. Like I fall into that all the time.
Yeah, and people just if you're not in complete agreement with people, then they see you as like in complete disagreement when really it's more of a scale.
yeah, you're like, I
Right.
have subtle problems with that, although generally I like it.
So I was just thinking I'm missing like 3 achievements in this. I should have written down what they were just in case I've already skipped the opportunity to get them. But
The hardest one is actually right here. You're about to go through this combat section. You've got it.
oh, sorry. I was going to say we should actually. Dang it. Well, I guess I have to shoot him, don't I? Yeah. Why don't you tell us about it then before we quit?
Yeah, so this one military machine. So basically, in this next segment, there's there's a number of dudes that are there to shoot at you, and if you aim your gun basically at head level, I mean it's pretty hard to do, and just walk forward and just headshot everybody, and you kill I think all seven of them in or six of them I think in like with only like a second gap between, then you get the
Oh boy, that
achievement.
does sound hard. Can
Yeah, it's a
oh
little hard. And the other problem is that there's a save. Like I honestly am a bit of an asshole because there's a save point right at the end. So like if you walk too far, the game just
If you
saves, and then
fail,
that's yeah. So if you fail doing it, you just have to die or
there's
restart or
no
something.
yeah,
save.
and on Xbox One we
That's
can't
fine.
copy our saves around. They're automatically uploaded to the cloud and all that, so it's like save management's a little bit difficult. Whereas on other platforms, maybe you could make a copy or something like that.
Yeah, what you would do is back up your save to, well, like on PlayStation 4, you can do it to the cloud or a USB. You can't even back up to USB,
No,
Paul?
no. Yeah,
Wow.
you don't have independent control over the save. It gets uploaded to the cloud, and then it's attached to the game installation, and that's it, as far as I know.
Wow. I don't particularly love that.
No, well, I mean, in some ways it's great, but not when you want to manipulate it.
Yes, it does have, yeah, there's a lot of huge things, but once in a while. I remember Spelunky is similar to that. I wanted to restart Spelunky and just like recollect things, and start a second run through, but like the save is attached to, it's on the cloud. Like there's no way to get rid of it without like playing on a new profile that's not my profile.
But yeah, I mean, we should go ahead and wrap it up. I have like a hard time limit where I have to be out of here. I got called in to work tonight at my other job, unfortunately. Such a bummer.
Oh my
That's
Yeah,
no
god.
but
fun.
We're gonna be late for the party too.
oh no,
Actually.
I'm sorry. We didn't mean to do that to you guys.
Oh no, it's all good.
And they're all video game people too, so we'll go and be like, yeah, we're on a Twitch stream, and they'll be like, oh cool.
And
Which one?
this is something we don't get to say very often. Like we always like thank the developers for the codes they give, but we never get to say it live on stream to the actual developers who are right here. So that's great.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's a very
Yeah,
generous
that's
donation,
awesome. Thank you,
and
guys.
you donated your time as well and helped to make our stream a lot more interesting, and that was awesome of you.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you very
Everyone
much for
enjoyed.
being interested in our game. Us indies have got to take the attention when we can get it.
And if you do end up, I was telling Danielle I don't anticipate being at GDC, but if you do end up at E3 this year or another year, then it would be great to meet up and do an interview or something sometime.
That'd be
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah, well, we'll meet one day in person.
And speaking
for
of
sure.
Quake, I go to QuakeCon every year, but it's probably not. It's not a very developer-focused event or anything, but it's a cool event. They never have anybody there in Bethesda practically, but no, there'll be there's one indie developer there last year, one or two. They had games to play.
I didn't know the Quake was still happening.
Yeah, you
Really?
can go if you want.
I've never
It's
even
free
thought
to
about
get
it.
in,
It's
which
been so-
takes away a little bit of the cost barrier. That's one of the reasons I like to go.
Oh,
Well, yeah, this has been fun. Thanks to everyone in the chat, and
yeah, thanks for coming out, guys.
thanks you guys both.
All right, and yeah, can you remind us what your full names are?
Danielle.
Danielle Lovell.
Yeah,
Yes.
Danielle Lovell. John Warner.
And
To
John
be,
Warner.
Danielle Lovell Warner or something like that.
Something,
Yeah, John Lovell
well, legally,
and Danielle
yeah.
Warner.
Legally speaking, we're both.
Yeah,
we'll be
in
both.
Canada, you can take both names without having to do the legal paperwork. You can just go by either.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Man, Canada's so much better than
Interesting.
America in some ways. Than the medical
Well,
medical system.
Certain areas.
Yeah. All right. Well,
wow.
thank you both very much. Thank you, Tyler, for your co-hosting as well.
Yep,
Thank
happy
you,
to be
Brian,
here.
for running the contest. We love your game. I hope everybody who won it enjoys it. And please keep us in the loop as far as development of the sequel goes.
For sure.
Cheers.
We
It's a
will.
pleasure, gents.
Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Folks, you can sign up for our newsletter on overthemoongames.com. That's where we put the updates.
Oh, yes.
That's where we
right.
put all the
Yes,
updates.
Right.
So, newsletter blog, and we'll
Be
talk
sure
to
to
you
do
soon.
that. And guys, follow Over the Moon Games. Follow us on Twitter as well, please. And whatever you do, don't hate, appreciate.
See ya.
See you later.
Tyler.